Christmas, but it's up. So you'll see right here, I've got my little hi, and we've got it there. We've got hi, so we're working. We're a net worth, and we're rendering this section. So I'm going to go into Adobe XD and check out what was the first thing. So the first thing is kind of this welcome page, which then moves into the wizard. So once they come in here, they're going to click the button, and then they're going to go through the wizard. So we want to start by, we'll create, I don't know if I want to do it in components. I'll just create a new folder in the main thing called wizard. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then I'll close this so it's not confusing. And then I'm just going to call the main control file for the wizard. I'll call that the wizard.js, and then everything else after will have different names. So I also want to make sure that the file name is lowercase because that causes me a lot of issues later. So for the wizard, I'm just going to copy these details, paste it in here. Now we'll call this wizard. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be clicking through state and changing a number, which will then be rendering the different pages. So we've got use state already from here. So I'm going to create a count instance. So we'll do count. This is just the magic use state formula, which I don't fully understand how it works, but basically you get your state here, which is your item that is state, and then your formula that sets it. So I'll call it set count, and then your initial starting value, which in our case will be 0. So then here, I'm going to make sure that it's rendering JavaScript by putting those curly braces, and then I'm going to say count equals 0. And if it is, it's going to render whatever div we're going to give it, which will be the page, else null. Now, I really like the ternary operators. I tried building this with some switch statements, but it started to get really complicated with the switch statements because I had switches instead of switches, and I can do a lot more using the ternary operators because if I wanted to render the same thing given two different circumstances, I could say count equals something or it equals that, which I can't really do with a switch statement. So now we're going to build out our page. Initially, I think that I'm just going to build them out as individual pages. So that first one will just have as an individual page. Maybe later I might try to refactor and squish down the code, but I'll call this welcome page. And then in the wizard, well, actually I'll copy all of this, go into the welcome page, paste it. I'll say welcome. And then in the wizard, I will import welcome page from, pages, because it's an absolute path, I have to start from the source file. So pages to new net worth to wizard to welcome page. Perfect. Now we've got that. So in this case, if count is 0, which it is, we're going to have this render welcome. Now I somewhere out here have the setup that I've built before for using the buttons that increase and decrease count, thereby switching the pages. And I like to have the button in the same spot, so it's always in the exact same spot, so that way as they click through, it's not bouncing around. So I'll probably have that as a position absolute, but I'm going to check out in my net worth section. I had already made one of these buttons, so I'm just going to steal it. And basically, it's a button light, which is in my UI. And then it's being sent backward or forward, which is then telling it to render the little arrows pointing right or pointing left, as well as the formula that's then changing the count. So I'm just going to steal this, pop over to wizard. I hope you guys don't mind me stealing code back and forth and not writing it out each time, because I'm sure you'd like me to explain it all, but it would just take so long. So yeah, hopefully you feel okay copying code too if you can find out where it worked before. So we've got that. I need to steal the stylization for the buttons. So we'll pop back into here, and buttons, we'll steal this. Go into wizard. There we are, and then we haven't imported the button light. I'll put this down because that might be annoying to you. So then we're also going to get the button light, which is in the pop-up here. Just excuse the name pop-up, it's just because before it was a pop-up that was coming up. But in this section it won't be. The wizard's going to be the first walkthrough that they're going to arrive at. So we're now back into, whoops, we'll go into there, button light. Now, fingers crossed that it will work. Okay, I don't see anything, but I don't think I have it properly rendered through. So the wizard is not being pulled into the main net worth page. So let's grab that. Port. And then so now we're fingers crossed again. Uh-oh. So in pages new net worth. Oh no. I hope we don't have the same issue we had before. I think I'm going to pause it here.